Yeah.
There are big teams of professionals behind all the people whose names are eventually stamped on the end product. Any little hole in your estate plan's armor, right,
Yeah.
will be exploited by someone very remote.
I've seen situations where even the neighbor came out to a property in San Jose saying, no, he said he was going to give me the house. So
Oftentimes in estates, when people contact us, it's like the worst day of their life, you know?
Yeah.
So we have to be very understanding and really just let people talk and get it all out. Oftentimes there are lots of things that people don't know are relevant, but will eventually get to if they feel comfortable. Major thing that I think everyone needs to know, because the number one question I get when people call is,
So thank you for joining me, Alex. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here in this office?
So I'm a paralegal. I work in probate, so that's estates, and also trust and estate planning, which is, you know, wills, people saying what they want to have happen with their assets when they die. As for what a paralegal does specifically, it's pretty much anything an attorney does minus giving legal advice, which is illegal for a paralegal to do, and representing clients in court. But basically anything that a client eventually signs is originally drafted by a paralegal, and the attorney then reviews it and determines, you know, is this sufficient? Is this all checking out with the law? And then passes it on to the client to sign, and then it's filed with the court. But pretty much everything from research to drafting starts with the paralegals, and we also do a lot of talking to clients as well.
Perfect. And that's actually why I wanted to talk with you for so long. Because I also worked, I was mentioning, I worked for the courthouse as a courtroom clerk, and I did a lot of work. So when the judge came in, people would say, wow, he did great. But a lot of the times it was me, the one that did the work. And then he would just review it and make sure that it was in alignment with the orders or whatever he wished to happen in the courtroom. So pretty much that's something that you do.
Yeah.
You do a lot of the work, and the foundation and the cases are successful because of your work. Yeah.
There are big teams of professionals behind all the people whose names are eventually stamped on the end product.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And tell me a little bit about how does someone become, just so we know the background, how does someone become a paralegal?
So the paralegal is like an actual thing. It's not just a job title. It's something that you get certified in by the Bar Association, same as an attorney is certified with the bar. But it's a different standard, of course. You can either work for 2 years under an attorney and have an attorney sign off saying you've completed the necessary experience that you need to have to be a paralegal, and then submits that to the Bar Association. Or you do what I did, which is I took basically a year-long course with UCLA after work, and was eventually given a certificate from that.
Perfect. So it's not like someone could just apply and say, I want to be a paralegal tomorrow.
No, but you can possibly be a legal assistant or a secretary or something like that and work your way up.
Absolutely. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
But I'm glad that you described and explained the differences, because I think, again, people don't really know the background of that. Wonderful. So tell me a little bit about, before we go through the questions, I have some questions that I really wanted to ask you about you, and how did you end up here?
So for me personally, my undergraduate degree is in computer science.
Oh.
I was a web developer for the California Association of Realtors for a year.
Wow.
And I did not really politically like what I was doing very much. I thought it was sort of unfulfilling, and I didn't like the direction that I sort of felt like software and tech in general was going at that time. So for me, I made a list of everything I thought was worth doing.
Yeah.
And then I just crossed things off based on what I thought was too undesirable or I just wouldn't be good at. And I eventually wound up with attorney.
Wow.
Ideally, I'd like to be working in animal rights, which is something that is just burgeoning in California right now. We're just starting to have laws about animal rights that the Supreme Court is actually upholding.
Wow.
So it's a burgeoning area of law, and so that sort of inspired me hearing about the work that people are doing in that area to try and pursue this myself. So I made the decision to become an attorney. I immediately took the LSAT because I figured my score on that's going to determine whether or not this is even realistic. And then Once I had that LSAT score, I went to paralegal school for a year with UCLA, and then I became a paralegal here so I could save up money because I didn't want to take out a student loan. And now, 4 years after deciding to become an attorney, I am in law school for the first time.
Yay, congratulations.
Thank you.
And that's a big accomplishment as well. And amazing. So animal rights.
Yes.
That's the vision. That's the goal.
That's the dream, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. So thank you so much. We've talked a little bit about what a paralegal does in supporting attorneys and all the work that you do that sometimes we don't even know that you exist. So thank you so much. Can you tell us some of the key ways in which you support attorneys in probate cases? If you can explain those.
Well, like I said, pretty much everything that is the attorney's work product that we put out at the end, so all the wills, all the filings with the court, are initially drafted by me. Oftentimes I'm also doing research as to, hey, we haven't seen this situation yet. How do we handle it? Additionally, you know, when people call the office looking for help, I'm the first person they speak with. It's never, you know, the attorney is so busy, he has so many clients, and a lot of people don't understand this about law firms, is one attorney will have a lot of clients they have to spread their time across. It's just the way that it works, especially in probate. These cases can take a very long time before we get paid, which we generally don't even get paid until the heirs get paid.
Right.
So we have to, because of that, take on a lot of clients at once. So the attorney doesn't have time to speak to every person that might call the office with a situation.
Right.
So it's my job in those cases to take very detailed notes and just listen to people. You know, I'd never cut anyone off because I want to get the whole story out of them. And then I can sort of assess what is the issue here. And then I pass that on to the attorney to call them back and actually say, here's what we can do to help now that we know what the issue is.
Absolutely. And you've never cut me off either. And I've called many times for help. So he also helps agents and anyone who calls in here. I think Catherine, your colleague Catherine, right? Is your colleague?
Yeah, there's Catherine and there's Katie.
Okay, so Catherine I've called many times. And we as agents oftentimes have issues with the real estate that is connected to probate. So we'll also call you. So much appreciated. Thank you for your patience with all of that. Tell me a little bit about that. So you answer phone calls, you talk to clients. Many times they want to talk to the attorney. They don't want to talk to you. Tell us about when you answer the phone, we were talking a little bit about your obligation to these clients. Tell us a little bit about that role.
So my job is really to figure out what it is the person is dealing with and what they want and what they need in their situation. So, you know, paralegals have to be very good listeners. We have to make sure that we get the full story that the attorney, you know, maybe doesn't have the time to hear, but maybe they don't want to be billed for the attorney hearing the whole thing every time.
Yes.
So we have to be very good listeners. Also, oftentimes in estates, when people contact us, it's like the worst day of their life, you know?
Yeah.
So we have to be very understanding and really just let people talk and get it all out. Oftentimes there are lots of things that people don't know are relevant, but will eventually get to if they feel comfortable, right? And then, okay, that's the key issue we have to tackle here.
Right.
So it's all about listening and just taking really good notes. I don't remember anything. I have to take notes on everything, and then anything relevant is put online where we can all see it and all work on it together.
And it's all confidential.
Everything that anyone says to a paralegal, either for representation by the attorney or if they might be represented by the attorney. So even if you haven't signed up with us, if you contact our office, anything you say to me is going to be confidential. And that's a major thing that I think everyone needs to know, because the number one question I get when people call is, can I speak with the attorney? And oftentimes it's not in the person's best interest to speak with the attorney right away because of just the situation that we're in at the office.
Exactly. And you mentioned a little bit also the cost. Attorneys do charge for their time.
Yes.
And it can be a pretty hefty cost. And I think people don't understand that. Or oftentimes clients will ask me, can you talk to my attorney? Can you call him? First, it's confidentiality. Sometimes I can't. And also, I'll tell my clients, if I call them to talk about your real estate that really you should be making decisions on, he might be charging you an hourly rate for me calling him. So I think it's important to note that. So thank you so much for saying that. So talk about your work in probate matters or estate planning. What type of paperwork? You said you handle wills, research. Is there anything specific or anything very common that comes up that you deal with? Intake forms? Or is it all that you deal with the paperwork? Or is there an area that you can't touch?
There's nothing that I don't touch.
Okay.
There is nothing that we put out that I haven't done before.
Okay.
I would say me personally, I'm the only certified paralegal on our staff. There are some very, very experienced people here that are more experienced than me, but are not bar certified paralegals. So when we need a legal argument drafted, I'm the one who does that. I'm also the one who does all of the accountings that we have to do for the estates. And let's see, those are the two main reasons I'm still here despite being in law school.
Yeah.
Is because I'm the one who drafts the legal arguments and does the research and the accountings. But, you know, there's also, I draft trusts, deeds, wills, basically everything we put out goes through me or someone like me.
Wonderful.
With oftentimes that I'm reviewing before passing it on to the attorney.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. Tell us, if you can, what are some of the most, if any, challenging parts of your role as a paralegal?
Honestly, I think the number one most difficult thing is people who are, I guess, suspicious in a way, that don't understand that what they say to me is confidential, or that are suspicious of attorneys in general, I find is a big problem, especially in probate. I really recommend anyone who might inherit something, contact an attorney as soon as they become aware they might inherit something. Because if you wait, or if you just start using the assets as though, you know, assuming that you're entitled to them, maybe it's your husband, your parent, whatever, without speaking to an attorney first, it can create huge problems later on that people don't expect. So I think, you know, if you contact the office, you speak with someone like me, you're not being charged for that time because you haven't signed up for us yet, but you're still getting to speak to someone who has experience, that has dealt with these things before, that can at least tell you what the actual issue is with your situation before you then seek counsel and actually handle things the proper way. I think definitely calling a legal office is the number one thing people need to do as soon as they might inherit something.
Yeah.
I also think absolutely everyone should have a will. Absolutely everyone.
Yeah.
It's every day there are heartbreaking stories because people do not have wills. Absolutely everyone should have a will, even if they can't afford to pay an attorney. If they handwrite it themselves and sign it and keep the physical document someplace where everyone knows where it is, that's so much better than not having a will. And if you own a house, you should probably have a trust too.
Yeah.
But you should definitely speak with an attorney about that first. But these are all things that can prevent huge problems. Any little hole in your estate plan's armor, right?
Yeah.
Will be exploited by someone very remote that possibly you don't even know or you've forgotten exists in your family that can come up later. You know, that everyone comes out of the woodwork when these things happen, and there's just no possibility is too remote to prepare for.
Okay, so we said everyone should have a will. If you have a house here in the Bay Area, you should have a trust.
Anyone who owns a house should have a trust.
And then people come out, right? If something happens, God forbid, someone gets sick. And I've seen situations where even the neighbor came out to a property in San Jose saying, no, he said he was going to give me the house. So even the neighbor was trying to keep the house when the person was no longer there. So it is true. Everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people will show up and say, that car was mine, he promised, or diamonds that they have, or whatever the case might be. So it is very important, and I don't think people understand that, or people leave it off. I'll take care of it later. It's too expensive.
Or people are worried to speak to an attorney. A lot of people are really worried to speak to an attorney. We get calls all the time from people that presumably they're calling a law office, they want legal advice, and then I start to tell them, oh, we've seen a million situations like yours. Here's what I think is, going to be relevant for you. can I set up a call with the attorney? And all of a sudden they're like, oh, an attorney, you know? So there's people who are suspicious of paralegals, and then there's people who are suspicious of attorneys too.
And people who are suspicious of real estate brokers.
But if you sign up with us, and this is not an advertisement, right?
Yes, yeah.
If you sign up with an attorney, our fates are linked. We share one destiny.
Yeah.
Where we don't even get paid unless you get what you're due from the estate. You know, a lot of people don't understand that. And the fees for probate as well, a lot of people don't understand. Now, for a trust, it's different, but for probate, the fees are actually set by law.
Exactly.
So, and a lot of people upcharge their clients, but the fees are set by law in truth, and it's all to be paid at the very end. Once everything's distributed to the heirs, then the attorney also gets their cut. So that's very important for people to know, is not to, I guess, let people upsell you, and to just be aware it's roughly 2.5% of the estate is what it comes out to. That's what I always say to people. It's a sliding scale. Depending on how much it is, it'll be a lower percentage. But generally speaking, it's about 2.5% of the estate, and the attorney doesn't get paid until the client gets paid. So it's really one fate shared by the legal team and, you know, the heirs or the administrator.
And that's such a great point, because I have heard people not trusting attorneys. And, oh, can you look at my paperwork? The attorney said, and I'm like, no, I'm not an attorney. But the court will see these documents, or whenever the attorney submits the accounting part, which includes their fees, right? The court sees it. Yeah. So it's not like they're going to try to take your money from you. And you're a team. It's a team effort. So I think it's important that you, like you said, to say we're working together to make sure that we close this probate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the more money, in estates anyway, the more money that you get, the more money that the heirs get, the more money the attorney gets as well. So we have every incentive to help you and the heirs of the estate.
So please tell us, now that we talked about your role and everything that you do and all the paperwork that you handle, office things, how do you balance that?
That's tough. I generally will have several things kind of going on at once. I'll typically have something on the computer that I'm drafting, like a legal argument of some kind, you know, for things that are actually contested. And then I expect that I'll be interrupted in doing that throughout the day by either being verbally told to do something by my boss, or someone coming in, or getting a phone call or what have you, and then quickly dealing with that and going back to what I'm doing. So I typically have one major task and then several subtasks that are constantly coming at me from all directions.
Yeah.
And you know, it's all just about taking notes. I have like 3 different notepads that are for different purposes that are all very like precisely used based on what's going on. Paralegals have to be very, very organized, but it's definitely something that you learn to do once you're here, because there's just no surviving otherwise.
Absolutely. When I worked at the courthouse, a judge would say, and he actually said, you need to have a notepad with you.
100%.
So I would go back, 3 months ago you said to do this, okay, because you do get a lot of additional tasks.
You never know when something extremely critical is going to suddenly happen, whether you'll get a phone call from someone that you may never have a chance to speak to again if you don't get their number right then, you know?
Absolutely.
Things like that happen constantly.
Yeah. So you have to be organized.
Yes.
Yeah, keep track of everything.
Prepared.
And prepared.
On
Absolutely,
your toes.
Yeah. It's a big responsibility.
There's a big emotional sort of component to it too. I think especially in estates, because we deal with so many different clients, and you have to be empathetic so that they can open up to you, and so that you can deal with the problem with the severity that it deserves, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, number one thing that I had to learn when I started was you can't take it all home with you, you know? Even though it's very tempting to a lot of the times. And I have had times where I've worked overtime just because I'm so concerned about someone's particular case and something really needs to get done. I will do that, but we're not able to represent people at the highest level if we are
emotionally invested,
like sharing everyone's grief in a way, you know what I mean? So learning that part has also been a big part of being a paralegal, especially in estates, is like oh man, like most customer service people don't have to like learn
Yeah.
to learn to share pain with clients while also like staying focused, you know?
Yeah.
That's also a big part of the job.
How did you learn to do that? Because that's something I struggle with working at the courthouse. Seeing people get sentenced and just going home, like I would be really sad about it.
I think patience is a number one thing, is just learning to let people speak until they've gotten it all out, and then coming in with being ready when the person is finished speaking to have the exact one sentence that that person needs to hear before potentially they go into another big long stream of the whole story, you know?
Yeah.
It's being able to take very emotional people as they are and give them exactly what they need to hear in the precise amount that they're capable of processing
Yeah.
in that moment.
What advice would you give to a family who's preparing to file for probate?
The number one thing I would say to anyone that thinks they might inherit something is contact an attorney immediately. It won't cost you anything to just call.
Yeah.
Have someone hear your story and give some idea of what's going on, because you can't assume anything. And I can't assume anything about a generic person who might inherit something's case. You just need to speak with a professional immediately, have them hear your story, and have them give you an opinion, so you at least know where to start. And probably you should sign up with an attorney.
Yes.
But, you know,
At least call.
make sure it's one that you
Yeah.
like.
And you can call Alex because he won't charge you for the phone call. And he takes all the phone calls, so
Mix it up.
if he answers. Okay, so perfect. Thank you so much. Tell me a little bit, we're gonna start wrapping this up, but is there anything that you think people should know? I think when I walked in here today, there's a lot of questions that I know because I too, when I worked for the courthouse, I felt like people didn't really know what I did. You handle everything in this office as well in support of your attorney, which I think we need to recognize you for all the work that you do. And oftentimes we don't. And we don't even notice you, but you know, I notice because I know all the work that you do. Can you tell us if there's anything else that you want to share with people about either what you do or any advice for people that are creating an estate plan or going through probate or have a trust? Anything that you like to share with people?
Paralegals are humble people. We're very happy to let the attorney take the credit for it. And at the end of the day, they are the one making sure everything is correct. And at the end of the day, they're the one responsible if anything is wrong.
Yeah.
So we love our attorneys. But
Yeah.
definitely paralegals are every bit as trustworthy as an attorney and every bit as willing to listen and to help as an attorney is. And so if you call a law office and you speak with a paralegal, you should honor that time you have together.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And lastly, as you know, I don't know if you heard me sharing with your attorney last time, when I started my real estate career, he was one of the first attorneys that I wanted to work with.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah.
How come?
Because he was so active in the field. I had seen his name on so many files. And I also saw that he ran a nonprofit. I had watched him on something and he seemed super cool. But every time that I reach out, he wasn't answering. It was a paralegal. And the paralegal, I don't think you were here back then. This is before COVID or during
not.
COVID. The paralegal would say, yeah, I'll let him know to call you. He never called me. Now that I know why. Because he's like, you're calling me just like everyone else. So I learned very quickly that was not the best approach. But you probably get phone calls from real estate agents like myself that are hoping to meet with him or talk with him or introduce themselves to you. Or do you have any advice for real estate professionals like myself to work with you or work with an attorney, or how can we work as a team and to develop these relationships?
So in estates, even I personally, at my personal phone number, I'm constantly getting people saying, hey, I'd love to work on this estate on my personal cell phone.
Oh.
So yeah, the people are very active in seeking out phone numbers of people connected to
Yes.
estates to try
Wow.
and sell properties.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do get those a lot. So we just have had to adopt a policy of, if you can refer us a client, we will definitely refer you a client. Kind of a
Okay.
one-for-one policy is how we do things here, just because it happens so often.
Yeah.
And the attorney is so busy, you can never really expect to speak with him on your first time calling. Typically, you'll speak with someone like me, I'll take notes, I'll pass it on to him, he'll get back to you. But generally, that's our policy, is one-for-one. And then I would also say, don't be hurt if an attorney doesn't want to meet with you like in person for lunch or something like that, just because we truly are so busy, and there's any given attorney has like 80 people's lives just constantly weighing on them
Yes.
that they have to be accountable for performing at the highest level for, at all
Right.
times. So it's definitely nothing personal if an attorney can't take your call or can't meet with you in person, but you speak to a paralegal, someone like myself, we're always willing to get you the information that you need at the very least.
Absolutely. And it's such a great point. Thank you for making it so human. I think when we do reach out to attorneys and they don't respond, we are hurt. And it's like, oh, it's me, I'm new, or this, or and I think that happened with me when I first wanted to work with Tom. So it was very helpful to understand, no, it has to be a two-way thing. Like you also send me referrals, and then I'll send you referrals. It doesn't mean that the client will either hire him or hire me. It's just someone that you can say, oh, Miriam is one of the agents that we work with. Here you go. Or Tom is one of the attorneys that I work with. But it's important to understand, like you said, they're so busy and it's not about you. Although sometimes it feels like it is.
Yeah, at the end of the day, everything is about our clients. Everything we do, every second of our lives, at least in this office,
Yeah,
it's all about our
absolutely.
clients.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I really love the opportunity to get a chance to talk with you. And hopefully we can, talk some more in the future. And we appreciate your time because we know you're so busy. And we've seen the phone has been ringing and ringing. So we appreciate your time and the ability to explain the process to us. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.